Today we're driving the 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan S. This is front-wheel drive, it's the base model, it costs $29,855. We have a 2-liter turbo that makes 184 horsepower, 221 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed automatic transmission, and this is just a nice compact crossover that is affordably priced with physical controls. Look at that, I love it. Only a 6.5-inch touchscreen display here, but you know what? It works. It's reasonably responsive. It has features like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, even though they are wired. Simple, functional. I love it. We've got a parking brake down here. Very simple, minimal buttons and layout to this interior. Easy to use, easy to live with ergonomics. Physical buttons on the steering wheel. No more haptic nonsense. Let's walk you guys around this Volkswagen Tiguan, take it for a drive, and see how it is on the road. I've lived with it this week. We drove one of these a couple years ago. It was a 2022 model, but it was the SEL Black Edition or something. This is nice to get a base model with the 17-inch wheels, the taller sidewalls. This thing rides nice. It's got decent power, decent fuel economy, rated for 24 miles to the gallon in the city, 31 on the highway. Oh, and it has a third row. Look at that. You can't really fit adults back there comfortably, but in a pinch, you could throw some kids in the back. There we go. Headrests pop up. You've got a little bit of room. I am not going to get back there and show you guys how I fit, because I don't. But just take my word for it that kids, yes, adults, no. We also get a compact spare tire underneath. You can flip this over and get a little bit more height and space, and this Tiguan is pretty spacious for a compact crossover. More space down here on the sides to put jugs of milk or something. You can fold down the second row with these levers and get a pretty, almost flat loading floor. Let's go check that out in the back seat. Yeah, that's good. These lock down in place. Release them like that. The backrests resume their previous position. Got an armrest. I'm 5'10", that's my driving position. Good legroom, good headroom too, except for the third row. Adults' heads bump right into here, and that's kind of the main reason why adults can't fit the third row to this. Honestly though, for a vehicle in this class and at this price point, that third row, even if you don't really use it much, is just kind of gravy if you ever do need it. That's a bonus. I do really like the new Volkswagen logo. It's so clean. Pretty minimal interior, a lot of cheaper plastics, but for the price point, I find it kind of hard to complain about. Super easy to get in and out of. Ingress, egress is just one of the best in class. Let's pop the hood. Take a look at this 2-liter turbo. Good power, pretty responsive. Only gripe with it this week is that the throttle tuning is just a little bit aggressive off the line. You have to be very reserved with your initial accelerator input, otherwise you're just going to be spinning the tires. But a nice motor, good torque, decent fuel economy, pretty quiet too, and paired with this 8-speed automatic, works very nicely. The front-wheel drive Tiguan does feel noticeably faster than the all-wheel drive Tiguan. That is something that we noticed in our initial testing between the all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive a couple years ago. It rides nice on these 17-inch wheels. We have Goodyear Assurance tires in 215 65R17s. Very pothole friendly for our pothole-ridden Michigan roads this time of year. No exhaust tip. You kind of get these almost fake Audi-like openings that aren't open underneath. Attractive looking crossover. It's a good size. now comes standard with Volkswagen's semi-autonomous driving tech, travel assist, IQ drive. It works great. It's got lane keeping assist, lane centering, adaptive cruise control. That's all pretty easily manageable here with these buttons on the left. Over to the right, you can control different gauge cluster views, see fuel economy, see our speed, see our tach, and you can choose between what different displays you want in the center. On the left, you've got your coolant temp. On the right, your fuel level, remaining mileage. All very simple, all very easy to read and live with. Reverse camera is a little bit dirty, but we'll show you what that looks like. Nice and high res, somewhat wide angle. It works. Not the best reverse camera I've seen, not the worst. Steering is very light. Leather on the wheel feels good. Volkswagen does get their touch points nice. The shifter, top is shiny, back is kind of leather wrapped with a button. That feels good. I like that. You have excellent visibility out of this Tiguan. I feel like I can just see in every direction around this car. This is a little bit high to rest your arm on, but if you lower your seating position, you can rest your arm right here behind the window controls. Auto up-down windows on all 4 windows. I love that. And I'll say, the Volkswagen Tiguan is kind of sporty. It's kind of fun to drive. It handles well. The front-wheel drive feels a little bit more nimble and light on its feet. A lot of wheel spin in the wet below 30, 40 miles an hour. Ride quality is nice. Not a ton of NVH transmitted into the cabin over bumps either. My only gripe is just the throttle tuning in this isn't awesome. You either get a little bit of throttle or it feels like 100% throttle. Not the first time that we've had that complaint about one of these turbocharged engines in this class. No paddle shifters behind the wheel, but we do get a sport mode for the transmission, and we can manually select our gears down here. 8-speed shifts pretty quickly. Not bad. You just pull back on that shifter to engage sport mode. Engine is quiet. Let's open up CarPlay. CarPlay's really quite responsive. That's nice. The 17-inch wheel and tire package on this Tiguan S doesn't feel as grippy as some of the other bigger wheeled options, but it's still pretty decent. Pretty good power merging onto the highway here. And like I said, not a lot of wind noise at speed. Pretty acceptable for the class. Blind spot monitoring. Adaptive cruise control. travel assist, which will pretty much keep you centered in your lane, negotiate some curves. Does a pretty good job with semi-autonomous driving. It will prompt you to take over the steering every 10-15 seconds or so. But it works pretty well on back roads in my experience, and seems to negotiate coming up to slower vehicles well, following distance. You've got 5 settings. Brakes, a little bit spongy, a little bit squishy pedal. Steering feel isn't too bad. Again, I'm a fan of the shape and feel of this wheel. Leather feels really nice, or vinyl, or whatever they've wrapped it with. You get a nice wide-angle mirror too on the passenger side. Makes seeing your blind spot very simple, very easy. You do have a quick access button here for all of your assist systems, like, well, actually, it looks like just lane assist. Quick access buttons there on the menu in your infotainment. When you swipe down from the top on the infotainment, you can get some quick access controls, instrument cluster and panel lighting, brightness, sound, Bluetooth. Really though, I love this infotainment for its simplicity. You're just going to be using it for CarPlay and Android Auto. No wireless charging, no wireless CarPlay in this S base model. I'm fine with that. Overall, for the money, a very nice crossover to live with. Spacious, reasonably fuel efficient, well priced. Volkswagen doesn't really punch above its weight like it used to anymore. Their cars do tend to feel a little bit cheaper than they used to. They're not as solid, not as, I don't know. Used to get into a Volkswagen and think, oh wow, this feels really like a budget Audi. And I feel like I'm really getting my money's worth. That's not quite the case anymore. Their materials, their plastics, the way the cars feel and drive, it hasn't really changed much in the last decade or longer. But that said, this is a very nice vehicle to spend time in, and for the money, it's kind of hard to beat. This is a very well-equipped base model, having all the driving assistance systems standard. It even has heated seats standard. No heated steering wheel, but these vents do heat your hands very well, and this car heats up pretty much immediately as soon as you turn it on and drive in about 2-3 minutes. It's pretty chilly out today, 39 degrees Fahrenheit. I love the visibility. I love the unassuming looks. Again, really the only major complaint I have with this is just the drivability is a bit strange with the way Volkswagen has programmed and calibrated the throttle tuning here. It's just not very good calibration. You can drive around it and you do get used to it, but it almost feels like it's always over accelerating more than you want it to. Kind of a common thing that I've seen a few manufacturers do recently, where they try to make cars feel faster and sportier, but as a result, it just kind of makes them a little more difficult to drive smoothly. And that's the case here. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. Props to Volkswagen for keeping this a simple, easy to live with and drive vehicle, not giving us a bunch of haptic control buttons and invisible controls and stuff hidden in the infotainment. I think this is a really nice system and a nice vehicle to live with, and I wish they would do it in some of their other vehicles or keep this trend going. But alas, everyone wants to put an iPad in their cars these days, for worse, I think, and it's nice to see and to get into something that is just kind of old school, and I appreciate that for it. And it's probably my favorite thing about this Tiguan. It's one of my favorite Volkswagens in the lineup because of it. So we'll end on that note. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. guess if you guys are still sticking around, we could do a quick sound system test. Not the Fender audio, the bass system. Bass audio system is very mediocre. It's not as bad as the Jetta S was, but it's not great. It's fine. It's pretty low on bass. Decent clarity at the mid and high range. But yeah, if you're an audiophile, you're definitely going to want to swing for the Fender audio or a higher trim, which isn't that much more expensive than this Tiguan S. It's funny, pulling out of that intersection there, this thing just lights up the tires at will, and it does it when you're not even trying to. That might be one reason to go for the all-wheel drive Tiguan. It is about another $1,400 or so, I believe, over the front-wheel drive version, just because this thing is just always spinning those front wheels off the line, even when you're not intending to, especially when you're not intending to. I could see the possibility of getting lots of unsafe start tickets in something like this completely unintentionally, just because of the throttle tuning. So we saw the same thing with the Volkswagen Atlas, same issue. It's just kind of a weird decision Volkswagen has made to calibrate the throttle and engine accordingly. So anyway, you have to be careful when driving your front-wheel drive Tiguan to not do burnouts out of every intersection. You learned it here. And maybe on the Substitute TheTopher's channel too, because he commented about it this week too, as well. So, all right, truly the end of the video once we've reached this traffic light. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Oh, this also has stop start, but you can quickly turn that on and off with that button right there, which is nice. It's the only other button there besides the parking brake, just a bunch of blank switches.